Hi everybody, so today we're going to be doing Polynomials Day 13. I'm going to do this very similar to how we would do notes in class if we use the document camera. So again, same notes packet that we've been working out of. It is your Polynomials Unit 7 B-level notes. We are on Day 13 today, so we're going to work on some more factoring. Today we're going to learn how to factor things that have leading coefficients greater than 1. So everything that we did on days 11 and 12, those had a number 1 here in A, so we didn't actually see that number. Now you can see we have 5x squared plus 22x plus 8. So we do have a leading number now. I'm going to show you 3 different methods to solve this problem. So the first method that we're going to use is called puzzling. So this is method 1. So puzzling, right? So this is our first method. So what we do when we want to puzzle is we are going to figure out what things multiply together to be the first term. So in this case, I'm going to choose 2 different colors, just like I would do in class, right? So what numbers multiply together to be 5? So we have 1 times 5, and that is our only combination that multiplies together to be 5. I might choose a different color here so we can make that a little bit darker. All right, and then we have to come up with a combination that multiplies to be the last number. So this is very similar to how we were doing with our no coefficient or a leading coefficient of 1. We had to figure out what numbers multiply to be this last one. So we've got 1 times 8 is an option, and we also have 2 times 4. All right, so we have 1 option for factors of 5, but we have 2 options for factors of 8. So now what we need to do is puzzle between these 3 options to figure out what combination of this one and this one will give us 22 in the middle. So just like before, we know that our factored form is going to be parentheses like this. And because there's only 2 options for here, we know that one of our options is x and one of our options is 5x. There's no other combination of those front ones that we can use here. Let's make that a little bit clearer. So we need to figure out with this combination, what combination of these, so which one of these options will add together to be 22 x's in the middle. So let's try. If I do 1 times 1 plus 5 times 8, that would give me 42, or 41. That's too many, right? So that combination doesn't work. But we could try doing 1 times 8 and 1 times 5 and add those together, but that would be 13, so that's not 22 either. We can then try, so we know that neither combination of this works. So we're going to try 1 times 2 plus 5 times 4. Well, that works, right? Because 1 times 2 would be 2, and 5 times 4 would be 20. Add those together, that gives us the 22. So we know that it's going to be this combination. We just have to figure out which one goes where. So is the 2 going to go here, or is the 2 going to go here? We need to figure out which one. So I know that I had to do 1 times 2. So I'm going to do the 1 here, and this is going to be where the plus 2 goes. And I had to do 5 times 4, so that's going to be here. Like we talked about when we were doing this in class, we know that factoring is the opposite of multiplication. So if we had finished our answer and we were unsure, we could factor it back out. So I'm going to just do that right now for you. So we had x plus 4, and then we had 5x plus 2. If I do my 4 rainbows here, because this is not a special case, I should get right back to where I started, which was that 5x squared plus 22x plus 8. So we get 5x squared plus 2x plus 20x plus 8. When I combine these two, I get 5x squared plus 22x plus 8. So I do, in fact, get right back to what we started with, which means that is, in fact, our correct answer. So I am going to box that in with the classic purple, right? So this was, in fact, our factored answer. So that was one method on how to do these problems. I'm going to show you a second method, which is called the X method, all right? So I'm just going to do it off to the side here. So we had method 1. I'm sorry, this camera keeps not focusing. So method 2 is called the X method. And I will show you why it is called that in just a second. And again, I apologize, this camera is having a hard time today. It also does not want to be off of school. So given the same problem, so we'll do this exact same thing so you can see the comparison. We've got 5x squared plus 22x plus 8. So hopefully that's the last time we have to focus. So the x method says that off to the side we're going to draw an x. On the top of the x we're going to do what a times c is. And on the bottom of the x we're going to put b. So remember that this is the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So a is this number and c is this number. So we have to do 5 times 8, and that's where 40 comes from in the top of our x. On the bottom, it's our b, which is our middle term. According to this, that's 22. So we have to now look for the numbers that multiply together to be 40, but then they add together to be 22. So if we don't know, again, we can always list our numbers that multiply together to be 40, right? We have like 1 times 40. We have 2 times 20. We know that 3 does not go into 40, but we know that we have 4 times 10, right? And remember, you can always use a multiplication chart while you're working on this stuff at home or a calculator. And we know that 5 times 8. So we're looking at the combination of these things that would multiply to 40. Those are all our options. We have to find the combination that adds to 22. So 1 plus 40, not 22, but 2 plus 20, that is 22. So we are going to use that option there. So what I do with those numbers is I'm going to split up the middle term. I'm going to put 2x and 20x. There's a plus sign in between. They're both positive. And I'm going to pull down this 5x squared. And I'm going to pull down this 8. So the only thing I changed about this problem was I split 22x's to have 2 over here and 20 over here. Remember, we didn't change the value of the problem. We still have 22x's. We just separated them, which is fine. Now that we have 4 terms, hopefully you will notice that we can factor by grouping. So we are going to group the first 2 and take out their GCF. They have a GCF of x. Dividing 5x squared by x, that gives us x. 2x by x gives us plus 2. Ignoring that, now we're going to factor out our GCF from the second group here. We've got 20x and 8. I'm going to take out a positive 4 because that is the GCF here. 20x divided by 4 is 5x. 8 divided by 4 is 2. You will notice that our 2 things in parentheses come out to be the same, as they should. Remember, this is our halfway checkpoint, which is super exciting. So therefore, we can pull that out to the front. That is our GCF. And then what's left over was the stuff that was outside of the parentheses. Doop, doop. And you will notice that we get 5x plus 2 and x plus 4. Remember, we talked about how order does not matter here. It's okay that the 5x plus 2 is first in this answer, but second in that answer. That is totally fine. So there we go. There's one more method that we can learn to do these types of problems, and that one's called the swing method.